Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and I'm playing in the Nashorn. This is the Tier 6 very lightly armoured German tank destroyer. I've done a full tank review on the Nashorn before, so if you're interested after watching this video, you can go and find more details about the tank there. So just briefly, what you really need to know about this vehicle. Well, it has, albeit no armour, it's not very slow for a tank destroyer. Its track traverse is okay. It's quite hard to get around this. And its engine allows it to progress into positions that, in this situation, are far too dangerous for the vehicle. Now I'm playing on Fisherman's Bay. I would really like to get up towards the enemy and put some pressure on them. And then I just realized, what am I really doing here? What am I doing here? Fair enough, we put a good shot there into the T-49, but I risked it all. Let's take a look at the enemy team. And yep, that could have been my game right there, right then. All of the artillery. Two rather skilled Bishop players and an M41 trying to gun for me. And if you do get hit by artillery in these lightly armoured, open-top German tank destroyers, then you die, And they would have probably had a little giggle as they took out one of the most brutal tanks on the enemy team for really very little gained apart from a kill on a T-49. So yes, even though this tank is fast, it's a bit like a Hellcat in a way. Don't let that lull you into a false sense of, oh, I can just quickly get out. It's fast, but it's not like a light tank or a medium tank. And it definitely doesn't have the same kind of armor to weather any kind of a storm. Now that A43 on the enemy team is a very good player, and I will be super happy if I'm able to get any kind of pressure up on him from this position. So now I've really taken a more of a stereotypical Nashorn position, sitting at the back using this very fast firing 88mm with 240 alpha damage and 203mm of penetration to put the pressure on the enemy from the back. These kind of bushes and the rocks are almost perfect for the Nashorn. If you can use these rocks to pull back and hide behind if you do get spotted. And you can use the bushes to mask, albeit all of your tank, allowing you to put fire on the opponents without even being spotted. Now you're not spotting for yourself, so you're not going to get a huge amount of experience playing like this. When you're at the back, using your team to spot for you, I believe that you're only going to get half of the experience that you would have got if you had been spotting for yourself. However, in this position, with my binoculars activated and a camo net, I have got some very significant view range. I can easily spot that A43 if he comes out into the open. So the battle's definitely progressing. I've got a kill and I've done 515 damage, which is alright. It's nothing special. And we can see that this A43, who I'm very worried about, has already picked up 3 kills here and is dominating the middle of the map. Something that I would love to do, but I'm really just not in the tank for the job. So they're progressing down the eastern flank. They've got a KV-2 and a KV-1S ripping their way through the town. And really, a KV-2 and a KV-1S? Oh, I bounced off the A43 there. I was cursing my luck when that happened. Really, a KV-2 and a KV-1S? Our flank, our eastern flank, is not going to be able to stop those vehicles. It's going to be very, very, very unlikely that our artillery are able to stop those heavy tanks from attacking. So as we can see, with the short range on the Bishop, he's had to come to the forefront. He's barely behind that hill, and that's where he has to be in a Bishop if he wants to get fire off on the enemy. That tank only has 500 meters or so actual render distance. So now we're going to go back into our sniper mode. We can see a Chi-He coming across the middle of the map. And that's just easy pickings, shooting tier 4 tanks? Oh my gosh, did I really get to shoot a tier 4 tank? There was very little that the Chihi could do there. And I can see that this Churchill gun carrier is probably going to get spammed by artillery, or for all we know, this VK might get his flank and put a lot of pressure on him. So I'm going to maneuver into the bush location over here and put a big shot into the VK. And I'm not even spotted until I'm not even spotted. Wow. I didn't even get spotted there. The enemy blind fired that bush by the looks of it. Actually, I just realized I don't have Sixth Sense, so I was spotted. And oh god, the best player on the enemy team, and we track him. We're giving lead. Oh, that was a sweet shot there through the bush. I was really happy when that one went down. And we really put I really put us back into the game there by taking that gentleman out. I was very, very, very worried about that A43. They played well, they put their track back on quickly. And if they had actually managed to get down to below us, they would have been able to put up a significant amount of pressure on us. So we're just waiting for the game to develop here, so to say. That KV-2 is making his way across the middle. I want to put some pressure on him. So I'm going to go across and use these bushes. Our Su-100Y, aka the box tank, is taking an absolute beating. And this is a nice situation. We come through and we spot him easily. I wait for my camo net to activate. And we have a clean kill. Now it's just a case of avoiding that bishop and the M41 and hoping that the T1 Heavy doesn't have a line of fire on us. Going backwards and forwards, just hoping, keep moving. And the Su-100Y is taking an even larger amount of punishment. So this position up here, really it is, well, bread and butter for the Nashorn. It's a bit lame in a way, I would go as far to say that. You're kind of camping back, but I guess it is a viable tactic. Wait for the enemies to attack you. It looks like he's either spotted, and I don't have Sixth Sense in this tank, I realize, so I can't tell if I get spotted or not. I presumed at the start of this replay that I did, but it's very evident that I didn't. And I would have actually been spotted when I was fighting that VK. So now it's me, and a Grillet, and a PZ-38NA, who is for some reason deciding to camp back here. I don't know really what he's thinking. Could he be AFK? Maybe not. Maybe he thinks that the artillery are going to come from that corner. I decide that I don't really want to sit in base and wait to get spotted. I'd rather put the pressure up and try and use these bush locations here to be able to put pressure on the enemy. I shouldn't have knocked down that tree. Knocking down that tree, an eagle-eyed artillery would have been able to spot it, know where I am. So this tank doesn't actually have the gun depression to use that position effectively, but luckily for us, this T1 Heavy is right ahead. We put one good shot into him, doing 279 damage. That's a very nice roll. And a second one, doing 239. And we spot a bishop. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. The artillery will be able to one-hit us. We go for a shot on him. We put one in. It doesn't look like he spotted us. He's pulling back now. And the T1 Heavy manages to take out our artillery and our PZ-38NA, who for some dubious reason decided to camp in the base. He could have been a bot. That looks pretty much like a bot to me, or someone who's just beginning at World of Tanks. So I decide T1 Heavy is going to be attacking down the west. He will keep purging through our base and try and spot me for the artillery. I don't want that to happen. Instead, I want to kill the bishop. Now, the bishop is one of those tanks that will be able to hit me nearly every time if I stay still. So I can't afford to stay still spotted and engage that T1 heavy. So right now I'm thinking, kill the bishop, and at least there's only one very much less accurate artillery that I have to get lucky to avoid. So someone's spotting. It could be the artillery, or it could be the T1 heavy. We get the jump on a bishop. We ammo rack him. I don't know what he was doing. Do you think he was stuck? Or do you think maybe he reversed quickly when we spotted him and he got himself into a bit of a sticky situation? Commiserations to him. British artillery versus a Nashorn. It's almost a 50-50 chance, really. So right now, I want to get the jump on my opponent, and I want to do that by using these bushes, using my binoculars and my camo net. So what you see me doing is trying to find a position where I will have a good vantage point. This bush looks fantastic. Perfect. T1 heavy hasn't spotted me. I wait for my camo net to activate, and he stopped moving, so that was a bit of a dodgy shot, really. Doesn't look like he spotted me. Oh god, another bounce. Come on, World of Tanks. Hey, finally we make the hit. To be honest, those shots, looking back on them, were not the best. I would even argue that, well, to be honest, there's barely any difference between the APCR ammunition and the regular ammunition on this tank. 237 or 203, and 203 on a tier 6. If you can't pen 203 on a tier 6, you're not aiming well, just like what I was doing there. Maybe the first shot I was giving lead to him because it looked like he was retreating down the slope. Second one, I should have probably put in his turret. So now it is me versus the remaining artillery. We've managed to go 1 versus 3 here, which has been a lot of fun. Now really, all the artillery has to do is sneeze on us to kill us. So what I'm doing is stopping, activating my binoculars, and then continuing. This is how I recommend you do an advance. I don't really want to knock down that fence, as it might give away my position. So I'm trying to avoid knocking down that fence. And I thought I was going to stop there, but I didn't. I've just decided to keep going. The Nashorn has a tremendous amount of view range. So hopefully I will be able to spot him before he sees me. So now, the artillery immediately blind fires as soon as I went into the cap. Now I was thinking a couple of things from here. Because of the fact that he blind fired there, like in theory that would mean that he would be there if he triangulated it over. But that's a bit too advanced right now. What I'm doing is just waiting. And this is exactly how I had my camera. I had my camera in third person, ready to turn the tank quickly. I'm holding my nerve here. Now, what you don't want to do, in my opinion, is move around in the cap circle. I have a camo net on this tank. Plus, when you move the tank, or even turn the track slightly, not only does your camo net deactivate, but you get what they call on-the-move camo rating. So that means that as soon as you turn your tracks, the enemy will be able to spot you at a much closer distance. So effectively, I'll give you an example. Maybe he's sitting, let's say he's sitting there, all right? If I'm stationary and I have my camo net, he's probably not going to be able to spot me. If I move, not only does it deactivate my camo net, but it changes from stationary camouflage to on-the-move camouflage, which means that he might even be able to spot me even if you take the camo net out of the equation. So I'm holding my nerve. I'm literally holding my nerve. If I move, he can spot me. And I want him to come at me. And I think he puts his final shell there. Just to pause that for a second. So let's take a look here at where the artillery fired. The artillery fired here, 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 and here. If you hide next to any kind of tank wreck, let's say there'd been a tank wreck here. If there'd been a tank wreck here, and you've got this situation at the end of the game where you're trying to cap and the artillery is trying to counter battery you. If I was to go and stay near the wreck, that would be a massive misplay because The artillery has to guess where I am in this giant cap circle, and his splash radius is only about like that. So he's playing battleships. Think that he's playing battleships in that game where you put the peg in, you say, oh, you got there, and you have to say if you hit. He's going to know if you hit because the cap circle goes down. But that's not the point. The point is that he's taking his chances. If you're a new World of Tanks player, you might not have known that. Not always have your shells been able to go through what they call soft targets. And so what people used to do is sit near the wreckage so that if a tank appeared, he would be unable to shoot through it, and you could use it to absorb a shot. People must see players doing this and think that, oh, it's the right thing to do. I might as well get into a little bit of cover. Or maybe they're just confused, stressed, and attracted by the boxes. When you're against an artillery, this is completely the wrong thing to do. If I was an artillery player and I had to take a punt as to where the player might be, I'm going to fire at the boxes. Because anywhere else is a pure guess, and hopefully that player is stupid enough to think that it might give him a little bit of cover, thus splashing him and interrupting the cap, drawing the game for my team. Also, running around in the cap circle is a bad idea unless you're in a light tank. If you're in a light tank, you can run around all you want because you've got the same camo rating when you're stationary as when you're moving. Unless, however, you have a camo net. If you have a camo net, you should stay in the same position until you're spotted, until you think you've been spotted. Moving will allow the enemy to see you before you see them. Unless you want to employ some kind of double bluff in which you drive to where he last fired, hoping that because he's fired in that location and he knew that you weren't there, that he's going to fire somewhere else, which would be the most crazy, counter-meta, dangerous play I've ever heard of. Then the most successful way that I found to cap out at the end of the game is to go towards the edge of the circles and wait. Aim your gun where you think the enemy will be coming from and hold your nerve. And you'll be successful. You'll cap and win against 3 tanks. Now this game could have so easily been a heartbreak. If I had gone hunting for the artillery, I would have actually been going for a Radley Walters medal, which, you know, a Radley Walters medal, they're pretty nice. But considering the amount of time that I had left, I really felt like I needed to cap. I only managed to cap with 26 seconds left, and I could have driven all the way along here, and he could have been just running away from me towards my base. To be honest, I believe that if there had even been 5 or 6 minutes left in the game, I would have probably capped anyway, just to draw him towards me, hoping that he'll come and try and interrupt me where I can get the jump on him and take him out. When you're driving a lightly armored tank like this, even if you do still have 80% of your hit points remaining, he only has to sneeze on you to be able to cripple your tank. Anyway, let's take a quick look at the post-game stats. So this replay was from the 18th of May. If you want to see a live version of it, you can check out my live stream from that date. And we managed to get a high caliber Top Gun, Invader, and a Defender medal. Commiserations to the A43 on the enemy team. You played a very good game. You got 4 kills and 2,000 damage and made this game the exciting one that it was. Believe it or not, 1,187 experience was a mastery badge in this tank, doing just over 2,250 damage, and only taking 1 hit all game, which was the T49 at the beginning. We fired 26 shots, of which we hit 17. The Nashorn is a much more accurate tank than what those statistics would leave you to believe, but I was firing quite a few blind shots where I was taking down buildings and just hoping for a slight chance that I'd be able to do some damage to some of the enemies that were dominating the center. I showed you just how mobile this tank is. We were able to travel over 3 kilometers in a tank destroyer, which allowed us to navigate around the battlefield and put pressure on our opponents from all manner of angles. The Nashorn is a beautiful little tank. I fully recommend it. Check out my tank review on the Nashorn if you want my full opinion on the vehicle and some more gameplay. We'll have to take a look to see what happens in 9.1, as the patch notes do indicate that they're finally changing the advantage that tank destroyers have, i.e. that they still retain quite a large amount of their camo rating even when they fire. Maybe we're going to see such gameplays like this disappear, where you're able to unleash fire on your opponents from very long ranges and they're unable to see you. I think that will take massively away from the Nashorn and tanks such as the Borsig and the Waffenträger auf Panzer IV. Because when you have very little armor, you really rely on being able to put pressure on your opponents without them being able to shoot at you. And personally, I felt that it was balanced, because as soon as you get hit, it tells you where the shot came from. Using this, even if you can't see the opponent, as soon as you've been shot, you know exactly where they are. And so we'll see what 9.1 brings for the camo rating changes. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider rating it down below and let me know what you think about the Nashorn in the comments, and also what you think about the 9.1 camo rating changes. Do you think they're completely necessary? Or are you a tank destroyer player, a sneaky tank destroyer player who's maybe quite baffled at them? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.